Hi boys and girls. Okay, we're going to go ahead and paint our O'Keeffe flowers today. So you'll need some paints, paintbrush, messy mat. Hopefully you have a paint smock on or paint shirt. If your paints are dry, Mrs. Walker's got some spray bottles that you can kind of wet so they're closed, but if you open it up, let's say I would decide to use this color and it feels like it's too dry or not thick enough, you can just give it a little spritz because they've been sitting. Oops. Spray just a spritz in there to get that woke up and stir it on in. Okay, so I'm going to start with this color. I'd like you to try to do different values or change color as you go, but don't end up with stripes. So for me, I'm going to put a little bit of this pink in here, and I know I want to blend it in with other colors, so I'm just going to put a little bit of pink in each one, and I'm going to try to work quickly because I want it to be wet so that I can blend better. One of the tricks to blending is to not let one color dry out while before you put the other in. Okay, so that's all I'm going to use of that. Now I know I want it to change a little bit. I think I'm going to try to change it to an orange, so I'm going to have it kind of gradually come out and get orange. You can rinse your brush off, or you can be careful and just dip straight in and don't mix. If I stir this, it's going to get pink into the orange. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of orange coming out of here, and I like how it's, see how it's changing to a pinkish orange right there. And then at the ends, I want it to be bright orange. Okay, so I want it to have a nice blend line. That's why I did some of those sticking up. I might do an even darker color here. So I'm going to just do some orange going out from the pink. So it goes from pink to orange. And you're going to have to go a little bit onto your messy mat. Don't on purpose go on your messy mat, but because these are flowers that are going right off the page, when we're painting, you're going to find yourself most likely going off onto the messy mat just a little bit. All right, and I'm going to keep going here. I think I might even use a little tiny bit of white too at the very tips to lighten it, and that's something else you can do. But what you want to really avoid is having sharp lines going the wrong way. Okay, so by that I mean, well, I'll show you here in just a minute. Let me finish doing this. I'm almost done with this color. And now I'm trying to get it, this is getting drier. I can see my pinks getting drier as I go, and it's not blending as well. So I may have to go back into the pink again. See how that's just not really softening up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my pink for this one for sure, and maybe that one where I see it not blending. And I'm going to, and this pink is getting kind of dry. And I'm going to just kind of put a little bit of pink right in there to blend that. So, because I don't want it to be sharply another color. I don't want any lines that are going this way. I want all my lines to be moving outward. Okay, so for a darker color, I could do a little tiny bit of red. Now this is where you got to watch. Okay, let's say I do red and I just put it right here. That right there is just going to look like a straight line, isn't it? Yeah, and I don't want that. So I'm going to softly pull a little bit of that red up into my other colors. And I probably wouldn't even put that much. Normally I would probably just put just a touch of red like this. And then I go back in with my pink again so that I have a little bit of a blend in those colors. So I just want this to be a slight shadow down here where it's closest to the center of my flower. So I'm just going to do it really light. Just a little teeny bit, and I feel like I'm losing a lot of my pink, so I'm gonna go wash my brush out, and that's one of your other things too. You can just dip it in, or if I was gonna go into the yellow, I can dip it in the yellow and not stir, or I can go get my brush cleaned out, because if I dip it in the yellow and start painting with it, it's going to immediately change the yellow into orange because I have so much red in my brush. So I'm going to pause, go wash out my brush, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with a clean brush, and I'm ready to fix this. I also want to add a little bit more pink in there before I do anything. So I'm going to take my pink, and I'm going to put some of this pink right back in here because I want, and if you don't like it, if you want to be able to see the actual color, just put some streaks on there. Don't blend it as much. So I'd rather see, for me, I'd rather see the pink with just a tiny bit of that red underneath it, so that I'm going to put mostly pink here, and I'm dragging some of my pink out into the orange, remember, because I want them to blend. But I like how that gave it more depth right close to the flower center. Now I have to be thinking here while I'm working, I'm thinking about what color do I want the center to be. And I think I'm going to make the center of mine yellow. So I've got pink on my brush, and remember what I told you about the colors is you can dip into another color, you just don't want to stir. So I'm going to dip into the yellow. And is my yellow going to change a little bit here? Yeah, so I think to make it look kind of fun, I'm going to do swirly lines, and that way maybe it'll look like, you know, the seeds in a sunflower, or if you've ever looked deep into a flower, the center sometimes has lots of little pieces or little parts to it. And I'm having to be really careful here. If I touch that pink, it's going to come right into my yellow, right? Yeah, and I'm doing it right now. I can feel myself touching pink, which is okay, I guess, if you want the edge to be like that. Have fun with it, you know. But I like that that's kind of swirly and not all one solid color. You can do yours however you want. I also feel like I want the tips of these to be a little bit lighter. Ooh, that was a lot more than I wanted. Now, would you see all of the tips? No, probably just this one. And maybe this, a little bit of this one. The rest of mine, the tips are actually off the page, right? So you wouldn't even see those. But there's a little bit of yellow that might be showing through. Okay, when you're completely done, ooh, I'm looking at this, it has a lot of red there. I think I better do a little bit more pink, because that one doesn't look like the rest of them, does it? I want them to all look like they're part of one plant. They don't have to be identical, but similar, right? All right, I didn't use any white, but if you want to lighten something, let's say your yellow was just way too dark, all you have to do is put a little bit of white in there. And sometimes it looks cool to put like maybe a slight highlight on some of your flowers. So maybe I'll just put a little bit of highlight in here just to streak a little bit through. Oh, I kind of like that. I don't want too much though. Maybe it'll just look like the sun is just catching one little area of my flowers. All right, when you're finished, you know where this goes. Put that on the drying rack, and next week we will do the cool colors, or the opposite. So if you did cool colors on your flower today, you'll be doing warm colors in the background. But if you did warm colors like I did, you'll be doing cool colors in that little bit of background space that we have left, okay? All right.